Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Ravilochana Prabhu, whether the audio is clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, it's very clear. Audio and video is very clear.
Okay.
Can we start now or should we give some more time?
Maharaj, we need some time, Maharaj.
We are ready?
Yes.
Right, begin.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Please accept my respectful obeisance at your divine lotus feet. Hare Krishna to everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Nityam Bhagavata Sevya on a Saturday morning. Today we have the privilege of having the association of His Holiness Bhakti Vighna Vinasa, Narasimha Swami Maharaj. Maharaj, we're very happy to have your association today. Today we're covering a very, very important topic for this group because there's normally Grhastas here. So today the topic is going to be the ideal Grhasta life. So Maharaj, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshu Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So this morning we're reading from Canto 7, Chapter 14, which is entitled Ideal Family Life. And we're going to read texts 3 and 4. Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam Shraddadano Yata Kalam Upashanta Janavrita Satsangach Chanakai Sangham Atmajai Atmajadishu Vimunchen Munchamaneshu Swayam Swapnavad Utita. Okay, so I'll just read the translation. A Grhasta must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give Grhastas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. The process, as described in many ways, is one of hearing and chanting. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Everyone, especially the Grhastas who are mudhadi, ignorant about the goal of life, should be given opportunities to hear about Krishna simply by hearing, by attending lectures in the different centers of the Krishna consciousness movement, where topics of Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed. They will be purified of their sinful inclination for constant indulgence in illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, which have all become prominent in modern days. Thus, they can be raised to the status of light, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, simply by joining the Kirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, one must be purified, especially if he also takes prasad. This is all going on in our Krishna consciousness movement. Another specific description here is Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam. It is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it again. The word abhikshnam is very important. We should hear again and again. There is no question of stopping. Even if one has read these topics many times, he should go on reading again and again, because Bhagavad Katha, the words spoken by Krishna and spoken by Krishna's devotees about Krishna, are amritam, nectar. Oh, Krishna. Just a minute. Sorry, just a minute. The more one drinks this amritam, the more he advances in his eternal life. The human form of life is meant for liberation, but unfortunately, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, every day the Grhastas are working hard like asses. Early in the morning they rise and travel even 100 miles away to earn bread. Especially in the Western countries, I have seen that people awaken at 5 o'clock to go to offices and factories to earn their livelihood. People in Calcutta and Bombay also do this every day. They work very hard in the office or factory, and again they spend 3 or 4 hours in transportation returning home. Then they retire at 10 o'clock and again rise early in the morning to go to their offices and factories. This kind of hard labor is described in the Shastras as the life of pigs and stool eaters. Nayam deho deha bhajam niraloke kashtam kaman arhate vidbhujamye. Of all living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One must find some time for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This is Vedic culture. One should work 8 hours at the most to earn his livelihood, and either in the afternoon or in the evening, a householder should associate with devotees to hear about the incarnations of Krishna and his activities, and thus be gradually liberated from the clutches of Maya. However, instead of finding time to hear about Krishna, the householders, after working hard in offices and factories, find time to go to a restaurant or a club where instead of hearing about Krishna and his activities, they are very much pleased to hear about the political activities of demons and non-devotees, and to enjoy sex, wine, women, and meat, and in this way waste their time. This is not Grhasta life, but demoniac life. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, with its centers all over the world, gives such fallen and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna. In a dream, we form a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's gross society, family, and love are also a dream, and this dream will be over as soon as one dies. Therefore, whether one is dreaming in a subtle way or a gross way, these dreams are all false and temporary. One's real business is to understand that one is soul, aham brahmasmi, and that his activities should therefore be different. Then one can be happy. Brahma bhuta prasanna atma na shochati na kanchati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One who is engaged in devotional service can very easily be liberated from the dream of materialistic life. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Precharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here we have Narada Muni explaining to Maharaja Yudhisthira about the duties of people according to their different ashrams and varnas. So this chapter is very important. It's about Grhasta life. Most of the population, most of our congregation of devotees are in Grhasta life, or in family life, we would better say, family life. Not everyone is Grhasta. We get also Grihamedis. There's two kinds of family life. One is the Grhasta, a spiritual ashram, and the other is the Grihamedi, which is also family life, but it's materialistic. It's all centered around sense gratification. So we want to encourage devotees to practice Grhasta life. And Grhasta life is being described here, that it's a duty of the Grhastas that they need to hear. They need to hear from saintly persons. They need to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So of course we do have regular classes in the ISKCON temples, and we have also classes like this one online. So there's a lot of opportunity for devotees to hear. And when we hear, we have to hear very carefully. We have to make sure that what we're hearing is actually entering our heart. Because there's often a tendency for people to hear, they just simply hear in one ear and it goes out the other ear. So we don't want that kind of hearing. We want the hearing where it will actually go into the heart and cleanse the heart. So that requires some proper mood. Now, if people are in family life and they don't like to hear, that is not a very good sign. They won't be able to make any advancement. And if they're not inclined to hear, then they will remain entangled in the material world, and they will go deeper and deeper into the modes of passion and ignorance. So it's very important for people in family life, they have to make some program for regular hearing. Of course, there are other duties in family life, but this is the main thing. You see, everything comes by hearing. If they're eager to hear, if they make a program regularly to hear from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then the rest becomes very easy. If they're regularly hearing, then they will know how to keep themselves out of Maya. They will be very much aware of how to utilize their time. So everything comes by hearing. In the beginning was the Word, right? The Bible says like that. In the beginning was the Word. So when Prabhupada heard this statement, he said, yes. He said, everything comes from sound. So sound is the basic element of the material existence. And it's very important for us to hear about Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna's devotees and his different energies. This is actually the program of Krishna consciousness. That we go to temple and there must be hearing. There are many so-called spiritual groups and there are many temples, but many of these temples and spiritual groups, they have no program for actually hearing from the scriptures. They may have some program for yoga exercises. They may have some program for singing and dancing. They may have some program for eating together. But if they don't hear about Lord Krishna, if we don't hear about how he sacrificed his time to be there in the Middle East, he gave up, he came there and he spent time there. So if we minimize these efforts and we say, oh, anybody could have done that. Some people do like that. They just want to say, oh, what they did, nothing, that's nothing. But they don't do anything themselves. They minimize the efforts of the devotees to try to be Krishna conscious. And they make no efforts themselves. So Grihamedis are like that. They won't make any effort for spiritual progress. They have no interest to hear. They can spend money, a lot of money, on going to the mall, purchasing the latest fashions, the latest perfumes, the latest oils. They want to have the best car. They want to have so many material comforts. But they don't understand the real goal of life, which is to develop the love for God. So even in family life, that is important. We shouldn't think, oh, that now I'm in family life. When my family life is over, then I will think about that. Actually, Srila Prabhupada was thinking like that in the beginning. He was in family life, he was busy, he had a business and he had children. But he would associate. He would go to temple and he would hear. And he would also try to do some service. That is important for people in family life. They should associate with devotees. And association means also you want to do some service. Somehow serve them. Just like sometimes devotees would come to Prabhupada and say to Prabhupada that, they say to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I got married recently. And they would ask Prabhupada, please tell me, what is my duty now that I'm in family life? So Prabhupada explained to them what he considered was the proper duty for the man in family life. He said, when you cook food at home, he said you have to go to the door and you call out to people, food is ready in my home. If anybody is hungry, please come and eat. And in this way, he said, you cook food, you don't just cook for your own self. He said you should cook and then you should invite people to come and eat. I said, this is actually this is how you should behave in Grhasta, family life, that you want to bring people to the home. And Prabhupada said when he was a child, every day there were 4 or 5 guests in their home. His mother and father, they considered it important to bring guests to their home, to take nice prasadam. So if you do like that, if you invite people to come and eat, then it's an opportunity that when they come, you can also preach to them, and you can speak to them about Krishna, and we can tell them about Lord Krishna, and we can even read something from the scriptures. Not that people just simply come and eat, but you also preach. You talk to them about Krishna. And discussing topics of Krishna. That is part of family life. That is part of the duty. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was asked, what is better, to be renounced or to be in family life? And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada replied, he said, oh, to be in family life is better. He said, that is the best. And then he said, but not the family life of the material world. He said, we should be in the family of Nanda Maharaj. We should be in Nanda Maharaj's family. That is like Lord Krishna. So, in family life, we want to be we want to be Krishna conscious. One devotee came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. He had come from Bengal over to Mayapur, over to Jagannath Puri for the Rath Yatra and to associate with Lord Chaitanya. So he came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he said to Lord Chaitanya, he said, "My Lord, I am in family life." He said, "I am very fallen. How can I make advancement? How can I make spiritual advancement?" So that's a very humble position to take. Actually, the devotee who was asking like that, he was not so fallen, but he was being humble and he was putting a question to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to him, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to him, saying that your duty is to chant the holy name, and your duty is to tell people about Krishna, that you cook Krishna prasadam and you offer it. That is how Grhastas are meant to live. That they want to take nice prasadam at home, to prepare nice prasadam, and invite people, invite guests. As Prabhupada said, 4 or 5 guests would come every day at our home when he was a child. So, important thing in family life is you don't want to become too private. In other words, you don't want people to come to your home. You don't have any guests come. It's only you and your family, the man and his wife, and then maybe the children. But they want privacy. But actually, that's not good for spiritual life. For spiritual life, we want association. And to do that, you can invite people to come to your homes. So Srila Prabhupada encouraged devotees like that you bring people to your home, you feed them nice prasadam, and you talk to them about Krishna consciousness. It is a very nice program. Not only do you talk to them about Krishna, you can also have kirtan and chant the holy name. Too often we find Grihastas, they have a beautiful altar in their home, but all they ever do, they just simply offer food there. They never offer arti, they never do the arti. All they do, when they cook some food, they offer the food. That's it. They think the altar is just there for prasadam. But actually, deities are there. The deity also likes to hear. So the deities, they like kirtan, they like to hear the katha. So Srila Prabhupada always encouraged the devotees that we should have kirtan regularly. And we should have classes reading these books like Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and becoming more fixed in Krishna consciousness. So family life sometimes is compared to being in a deep well that is difficult to get out. Sometimes it's difficult to get in. People want to be married, they want to have a family, they find it difficult. They can't find any partner. And other people, they're married, they're in family life, but they can't see how to progress spiritually, and they'd like to get out. They want to escape from the family life. So both situations are not proper. Lord Chaitanya taught us, he quoted a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, we should remain in whatever position we're in. We don't need to change. We can just stay in whatever situation we're in. Somebody may be engaged in some business activities. They may not be very busy. They have some spare time and like that. They can go to temple. They should go to temple and engage in some service there. They should try to start some preaching program online, make some friends. Just now with all the internet, the mobile networks, then it's very easy to contact people around the world in all different places and to discuss Krishna consciousness with them. So Grhasta life is not meant for just only making ourselves comfortable. People often think, oh, I will work and make some money. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, when he was married, he also thought, he said, I will make some money and I will give money to my Guru Maharaj so he can print some books. But Krishna did not allow it. Instead, Prabhupada's business failed. His business went down and he lost all his money. He got cheated in some transactions. So, but our own founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, he saw Krishna did not want him to just simply work and make money. Krishna wanted him to preach. Krishna wanted him to go out and distribute Krishna consciousness. So that, of course, that's very special. Not every Grihasta is expected to do that. There are different types of different duties. As we know, there are different varnas. Somebody's very Brahminical, somebody's more managerial, somebody's just a businessman, and someone's a worker. Not everybody is a Brahmana and will worship the deities and study the Shastras a lot. But everyone should hear, even though they may not read the Shastras so much themselves, they should take the time to hear. They should attend the classes and they should hear from the different devotees who are presenting the lectures every day. It's very important for us to open the heart to hear about Lord Krishna from his senior devotees. So Prabhupada is describing here family life, how people often work very hard. They have a job in the daytime, they have another job at night, and then another job on the weekend. Prabhupada said, you shouldn't work more than 8 hours a day. But we find people all work, they will work so hard. They will work in the daytime, they're working in the office, and then at night they go have another job. Maybe they're working in the club, or they're a taxi driver or something. And they find something, some way to earn money, and then they find another on Sunday or weekend, things close down. The people, new people, they will be very anxious to find some way of getting some money to develop the yatra. So Krishna consciousness is meant for everyone. Mahaprabhu says, Kiba vipra kibanasi sudra kininai, ye Krishna datvavet se guru hai. It does not matter what is your varna or ashram, but what is important is everyone should know the science of Krishna. We should know about who is Krishna and what is our relationship with Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in family life himself for the first 24 years of his appearance in this world. And we know how devotees like Indrajumna Swami Maharaj, he comes to visit ISKCON centers He's in the renounced order of life. But he's preaching Krishna consciousness to everyone. Ramananda Rai was an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was a Grhasta. But Lord Chaitanya would come to him and ask him questions. And Ramananda Rai would answer. Ramananda Rai complained. He said, you know, I'm from a low-class background in the material world, and I'm in family life. He said, you're the sannyasi, you're born in the Brahmana family, and so on. Why are you coming to me to ask me questions? But Lord Chaitanya said, because you know the science of Krishna, so I want to hear from you. So, in family life, we need to also know the science of Krishna. We shouldn't think, I'm in family life, I don't hear, I don't go to classes. No, you're in family life, it's more important to go to classes. It's essential that you go to classes and you sit and you hear the philosophy. Because it's only in that way that we can understand our problems and our difficulties. Yeah, there's so many responsibilities in family life. You need to think about money, you need to be earning proper income. But that is not the most important thing. Yeah, we need some money, but you don't need our meditation should not be only the money. We need to think about developing our Krishna consciousness, becoming more attached to Krishna. Just like in the times of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the devotees would all go to Jagannath Puri by walk. They would walk to Jagannath Puri. For 2 weeks they walked to get there and meet Lord Chaitanya. So they did not think, no, I have to work, I have to make money. No, they all left their jobs, left what they were doing, left their land, and the devotees, they have to take care of everything. So, Grhasta family life, it's a responsibility. In the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada describes, he said, in our Krishna consciousness movement, he said, we have many Grhastas who are working in offices and factories, but they're giving a portion of their income for the service of the Krishna consciousness movement. So Srila Prabhupada said, these devotees are actually in the renounced order of life. Although they're externally Grhastas and they may have wife and children, but because they're detached from the results of their work, because they're giving some portion of their income for Krishna, so they're actually renounced people. There's a lot of noise in the background here. People come around with these. It's very disturbing. Alright, so unfortunately people have to hear these kind of things. What we need to hear is Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. People need to have that opportunity to hear from devotees, from saintly devotees. They need to hear about Lord Krishna. And they need to develop a taste for hearing. Now in the beginning, it won't be so easy. Srila Prabhupada described, he said, in the beginning, he said, I could not understand what my spiritual master was saying. But he said, I never went away. I would remain, and I kept hearing. So when Srila Prabhupada got his initiation, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, "Oh yes," he said, "I have noted him. He likes to hear." This is terrible. Okay, I think they've gone away now. All right, so Prabhupada is saying, especially he said, the Westerners in the Western society, people are very fallen and very addicted to sinful activities. They need to hear. And nowadays we see in India also a similar situation. Yeah, what is there in the West, it comes to the East. It comes to India also. So people lose their interest in spiritual culture, and they become more and more attached to materialism, and they want to develop their standard of living without understanding that everything is temporary. That they may build a nice home and they may live in luxury, but how long can they maintain it? Everything is temporary. The nature of the material world, it has a beginning and it has an end. So we should not be in any illusion about these things. We should understand how material world is not a real home, and we should be thinking about how to get out of this material world. So Prabhupada talks about hearing, and he said you have to hear again and again. So it's Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, right? We don't just hear for 7 days. Some people, they think, oh, I'll go to the Bhagavad Sapta, and then the rest of the year they never hear. They go and hear for a few days, and they think that's enough. They imitate Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. They don't see how Maharaj Parikshit was preparing for his death. He knew he had to leave the body. So he was so serious in hearing, he gave up eating and he gave up drinking and sleeping. He was very, very serious to hear. So we have to understand how this hearing process is so important for us. Nowadays, of course, we do have a lot of courses available for devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement. And it's very good for us to attend some of these courses. Particularly, we begin with the Bhakti Shastri, and we study the Bhagavad Gita. And study the Bhagavad Gita under the guidance of senior devotees. And we learn how to write essays and how to answer basic questions on the philosophy. So it's very important for us to try to take part in these kind of courses. These courses are actually one of the unique features of ISKCON. You go outside of ISKCON, they don't have these kind of courses. They would like to. In fact, even sometimes we get people from outside of ISKCON, they come to us just to take these courses. They're so attractive. So we're so fortunate within our own institution, we have these very nice courses to study the scriptures and to help us to understand the message of the Shastras. It's very... Prabhupada talks about reading. Devotees say, well, I'm reading. So Prabhupada said, better than reading is to discuss together and to explain what you have read with others. We just simply read. We may read and nothing goes in. We don't remember anything. Oh, I read it, but we don't remember what it was about. Nothing really went in. So it's important for us, not just hearing only, but discussing together with each other and explaining what we have read. So this is why we have to hear again and again. And Prabhupada quotes this famous verse. Prabhupada was very fond of quoting this verse by Lord Rishabdev, which comes from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter. Lord Rishabdev is instructing his 100 sons, and he is telling them, that the pleasure of sense gratification is available for the animals, like the pigs, that they will eat stew. So if we have that kind of mentality, we just want stew. We don't want genuine culture. We don't want to get the real message. We just want to be physically present sometimes in the class. Oh, I was there at the class, and you ask, what was the class about? Oh, I don't remember. So what was the good of being in the class? You don't remember anything? No. There has to be something. So Lord Rishabdev was preparing to retire from the world. And before he retired from the world, he's preparing his 100 sons. And he is telling them, sense gratification is available for pigs which eat stew. Human life is not meant for enjoying like the pigs. Human life is meant for awakening, spiritual knowledge, for becoming self-realized. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take the whole process further. He would say the goal of life is to develop love of God. So we have to understand what is life all about. The basic needs like working and earning money. Yes, we need some money, we need to work. We don't say not to work, but we say you have to be more conscious about something higher than just working, higher than just only making money. Money will not save us at the time of death. Huh? The money will not save us at the time of death. At the time of death, all of these things which we've been working to acquire, they'll all be taken from us. We have to leave it all behind. Right? As we say, we come to this world with nothing, and we leave the world with nothing. Of course, we come to the world with karma. And when we leave the world, we'll take also our karma with us. That karma will put us into some situation where we're involved again in more material activities. So we want to understand how to make the best use of human life. We don't want to just waste this opportunity. We're so fortunate to have the human body. There's only 4 lakh species out of 84 lakh. So we're fortunate to have the human body, and we're even more fortunate to have association with devotees and to know about Krishna consciousness and Srimad Bhagavatam. That is something very special. It's very rare to get that kind of association. There are so many humans, not many are taking advantage of association with the devotees. So we want to become very serious about hearing and chanting and associating with devotees. We want to not waste this opportunity. In the association of devotees, we can cross over the ocean of material existence. Without association, it's very difficult. We need to have that association. We need to be in touch with the devotee. Of course, we may do it by internet, online rather than on site. It's not quite as effective. The best thing is to be physically present in the association of devotees. Just simply online, people can be involved in many other things and not so attentive to what's going on. So although we do a lot of classes online, the result is not as good as when you have actual physical presence. And Prabhupada was asked, he said, what's better? He said, if I simply read on my own, or if I go and associate and hear from a devotee. Prabhupada said, best is you go and associate and hear from the devotee. So devotee said, why, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, because that devotee, he will pull your ear. He will make you be attentive. He will make you listen. If you're sitting at home and we get involved doing other things, our attention wanders. We say, oh, I'm listening, I'm in the Zoom class, but we're not actually hearing properly. Our attention is not so focused. So it's recommended physical presence, physical association. Then we can actually hear. So devotional service is very scientific. We have to follow the process as it actually is. If you follow the process, if you do everything you're supposed to do, you will get the results. If we're not getting the results, we must be doing something wrong. You must be deviating somewhere. You're not doing it properly. So this is my contribution. I would like to ask if there are any questions.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful class. Devotees, we just unmute the line. So if you have any questions, you can either put them on the chat box, or you can raise your hand so that we can call your name out and then you can ask your questions.
Maharaj, there is one question.
Yes.
Chat.
Yes.
So Ravilaksana Prabhu, I'll read the question. The question is from Kabir Das Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj. When one member in the family is in Krishna consciousness movement, others like spouse or children are not in Krishna consciousness movement. He gets lot of disturbance and teasing and restriction. How do we handle such situations, Maharaj?
Well, if it becomes so bad that it impedes your own Krishna consciousness, might be better to get out of the house, to go and take shelter in a temple. Of course, when children are young, you cannot do that. But if they're an obstruction to our service to Krishna, we have to do something. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was staying at home and he was trying to preach Krishna consciousness. and his wife was not so favorable, and his children were not taking interest. But Prabhupada was trying, and he was encouraged. Then it happened that Prabhupada's books went missing. And when Prabhupada's books went missing, then he thought, this is too much. He thought, I'm trying so hard to be Krishna conscious, and there's so much obstacles from the family, from the people around me. So I have to leave home. Time to go. So Prabhupada was already older. He was like 60 years old. So he prepared himself. He went to Vrindavan, and he lived in Vrindavan. So you're having difficulties at home. You have to try to spend more time at the temple. Spend more time in the association with devotees. People at home are not being nice, not cooperated with you. You don't want to waste your energy if they are actually having no interest and don't want to know and even try to ridicule you. Then you would be better to practice your Krishna consciousness some other place. You understand, Prabhu?
Thank you, Maharaj, for clarification. That was Pranam, Hare Krishna. I will try to take your suggestion and try to implement according to Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
There's one particular hand raised, so I will request Nitya Sevani Vishaka Mataji, if you could just unmute your line and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Maharaj, actually, just now you spoke about how digital devices can be very distracting to one's progress of devotional service, but at the same time, it has become very indispensable for our daily living as well. So, how do we find the right balance, Maharaj? How do we make sure that what is the process that we can follow? Hare Krishna Maharaj.
What did you say was can be obstacle?
The screen, the digital devices, Maharaj.
Mobile phones. Yes, things like mobile phones, laptops. Yes, they're essential. We have to use them in so many things. It's important for communication, to be in touch with the world. So we have to be careful that we use them in the proper way. Just like we give the example, a knife. A knife can be used by the doctor to heal, but the same knife can be used by someone to kill someone. So the same way, technology. We're not against technology if we use it for Krishna. So we have to be careful how we use everything. You have to put some control on it, that you use it for Krishna. You don't use it just for all your sense gratification. And when we're doing things like chanting japa, then it's often helpful to do things like turn off your mobile phone. You go to class, turn off your mobile phone. You don't want to be simply always meditating on the mobile phone. Jad Bharat, he got attached to the deer. And because he was attached to the deer, he had to take birth again. So, in the modern times, we may not get attached to an animal like a deer, but we get attached to things like mobile phones and motor cars and things like that. And they can certainly keep us in the bondage of material life and cause us to take birth again. So we have to be very conscious about how much we're using these things and how we're using them. We do want to be careful. Use them for the service of Krishna. Use them when absolutely necessary. And don't become overly dependent on them. So it's a...
Maharaj.
Yes?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thanks a lot, Maharaj.
Okay. Any
Any
other
other questions, or if We don't see any in the chat box, so please raise your. Yes. So, Maharaj, there is a hand raised by Deena Pavani Mataji. Mataji, you can unmute the line and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Sri Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Gurudev, how to make sure we are utilizing our day, like just following the principles, just doing our 16 rounds. How to go beyond it? How to motivate ourselves to go beyond?
Well, you have to get good association. You have to associate with people who are beyond these things, who are going further. Again, as you know, 4 regulated principles and 16 rounds, that's the minimum standard. So you want to associate with people who are going further, who are making serious study of the scriptures, and who are trying to distribute Krishna consciousness to other people. Like that, you want to get the association, and you want to also understand what is higher. Don't just be satisfied with 4 principles and 16 rounds, but think about going higher, from sadhana bhakti going up to bhava bhakti. What do we need to do to come to the level of bhava? We have to have a more intense practice of chanting the holy name. 16 rounds is minimum number of rounds. We should try to chant more rounds. We should try to be very serious in our study of the scriptures. As I was saying, these different courses which we have, Bhakti Shastri, then Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, like that. These things are there for us to help us to progress in Krishna consciousness, to go higher, to go deeper. And we should be eager to take on more responsibility for the service of Krishna, taking part in more activities, arranging functions and programs. You understand?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Maharaj, there is actually a question. I will just read out.
Huh?
You're fine? Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, under pranams. Maharaj, you mentioned the importance of hearing, reading, singing, discussion, and sharing. Can you provide guidance, balance of these activities in the limited time we have? How to practice, how to prioritize?
Well, we do need to spend time hearing, generally hearing, I said hearing, chanting, you mention also singing, like that. Yes, we have programs like in our daily sadhana practice, we perform arti. When we're doing arti at that time, we can also sing. We have some different songs which we like to sing regularly. In the daily program, we sing, for example, Guru Vastikam. In the evening, we sing Gora Arti, we sing Tulsi Arti, we sing Guru Vandanam when we worship Prabhupada. So, singing these songs, it doesn't have to take a long time, but what is important for us is we have to know the meaning of these songs. So singing is a nice activity. It certainly helps us to remember Krishna, think of Krishna, provided we know the meaning. So it's not just only singing. And similarly, hearing, it's not just simply sitting and hearing, but it's actually understanding. We want to absorb ourselves in the hearing. We have to hear very carefully and hear for a long time. So that concentration, focus on hearing, We do need to hear. Chanting we have a minimum chanting that we have to chant at least 2 hours a day to do japa. At least 2 hours has to be spent doing japa. And then you do want to do some hearing. So maybe you're driving a car, at that time you can be hearing. Maybe you have time, you should always keep a book with us, because you never know when you're going to get time. Okay, you have to work, you have to go there, you have to meet people, you cannot just simply sit and read all day. But it's good to keep a book with you, that when there is time, you can have a chance to go through the book and hear something from the book. Reading is not different from hearing. So we may hear, classes online, like we're having class here this morning, and we may hear by reading Prabhupada's books. But it's also important that we hear and then we chant. We should repeat, we discuss and explain what we heard. That's also part of the process of devotional service. So there has to be that absorption in these activities. It's not really so important about how much time you spend, but what is important is the quality in which you do these things. The quality in which we try to sincerely chant and to hear about Krishna. Okay?
Maharaj, I have one question. Ravi Lochana Gauranadas. My question is, as Grhastas, many of us are actually struggling in terms of, while our sadhana is one, we can at least put something on that. But how about raising children, which also comes as a very, very important aspect of that as part of the life. So when you do the balancing, we have to bring them along. So can you just share your perspective on that, how we can balance it along with bringing up children in Krishna consciousness?
What, you mean the children, you want
Raising
them
them.
to also take part in the sadhana?
Yeah, I mean, raising them also in a Krishna conscious environment, because they are exposed to so many things outside. So how can, what we need to do from that point of view also?
Yes, well, the example of the parents is very important, you see. If from the beginning the children have seen the parents be Krishna conscious, then certainly it can also influence the children, that they will follow the parents. And they will take part in the activities because the parents are doing it, so the children will also come along and take part in the activities. It becomes difficult as the children grow up. As they get a bit older, then because they're often associating with non-devotees, for example, they go to school and colleges, and they have to mix with non-devotees. So there's always a lot of peer pressure coming on them. That, oh, you do this, oh, your family is so religious, or, and makes it difficult for the younger people to come in, that they feel uncomfortable, they think, oh, it's not normal, and they shy away from Krishna consciousness. So it's important that the children have to have an opportunity to be with other children who are also Krishna conscious. Again, association. If the children are always with older people, then it's not so good. They need to be with people of their own age who are also practicing Krishna consciousness. If they are seeing other people their age also practicing Krishna consciousness, then it's more inspiring for them. So it's certainly a very difficult thing to bring children up in Krishna consciousness. It's one of the greatest challenges which we face is trying to keep our children in Krishna consciousness. But it's so important because they are the future of our movement. We cannot expect that as our movement goes on, that we can always bring in newer and newer people. But we would like that the children of our devotees grow up and they also become devotees and they take an active role in Krishna consciousness. So in order to do that, we do need to encourage them as much as we can, to give them every opportunity to be devotees and to help them to develop an appreciation for devotees. We don't want that they should ridicule devotees and look down on devotees, but they should have an appreciation and a respect for devotees. That's also important.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you. Maharaj, can we just take one last question? Is there in the chat box? Can we read it out?
Okay.
This is from Leelavati Mataji saying, Hare Krishna Maharaj, due to health problem, taking devotee association weekly once is also not possible. Is there any remedy for this?
Well, you're not able to take association even once a week. You have to get association online or by use of the mobile networks. You have to contact, you have to be hearing. You know, it is possible to attend the programs on Zoom. Like, you know, we're having this class, so we can watch RT, we can attend the RT in Mayapur every morning. You may be sitting in Bangalore, but you can watch the morning program in Mayapur or in Vrindavan or Juhu or wherever, and you can be attending the morning class there. You know, although may not be in the best of health, we should take advantage of the technology to try to arrange to keep ourselves in the association of the devotees.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you for those wonderful words of wisdom for us. We will certainly always want to keep the association. I mean, in whichever way possible, we must try to associate devotees. Thank you for that, sharing that earlier point. Maharaj, thank you for your wonderful class, and thank you for associating with the Bangalore devotees in person. We just look forward to having you again very soon. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
There is one more question that has come up from Srinivasa Prabhu, Srinivas Gopal Prabhu. You want to ask? I'll read it out.
Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaja, Dandavat Pranam. Maharaja, you mentioned the importance of hearing, reading, singing, discussion and sharing. Can you provide guidance, balance of these activities in the limited time? I think you already answered this.
This is already discussed. You're already taken one. Yeah, this is taken.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for just joining us, on this. We just end with the Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhascha.
Kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
Antakoti Vaishnavibinda ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Vighna Vinasa Narasimha Maharaj ki jai. Pitai Gaur Sitaram Premanande Hare. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Dandavat Maharaj, Dandavat Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
I'll end the session now. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.